Hey everyone, it's Greyson and this is Greyson Talks Everything. If you're new to the channel, welcome, and if you're not new and are returning, welcome back. Do be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And also follow me on Instagram so you never miss the latest updates on when videos of mine are coming out. And to also just like and admire some fan art of mine that I regularly post on there. Some of that should show up on the screen right about now. Alright, and the link to my Instagram is always in my description under all of my videos. But if you want to know my Instagram tag right now so you can follow me immediately, that should be showing up on the screen right now. Alright, let's get into it. So today, I'm going to be discussing and reviewing with spoilers, this is your spoiler warning, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which I was lucky enough to see early 2.5 weeks ago, and I then rewatched it just to get my head around it, and then I compiled all of my spoilery thoughts into a bunch of notes and then condensed them, and now I'm finally ready to talk about it with you guys, and I'm very excited to. This was a very interesting movie, and it was complex for all the wrong reasons because there's a bunch of erasing and dilution of a bunch of characters. Well, really only two, Wanda and Chavez, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get into the video. So, after watching Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness twice, I could already tell this film was going to be very divisive, and I think the fault of that might be on Kevin Feige and the burden of high expectations, a messy script, and most surprising of all, an almost complete undermining of what WandaVision as a show and multiple other previous MCU projects created, which makes sense because Sam Raimi and head writer Michael Waldron just couldn't care enough to watch the shows, apparently. So I really should have lowered my expectations from a mega Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man No Way Home, or even Everything Everywhere All at Once level multiverse event movie to being just an okay Doctor Strange film. It actually made the film kind of feel less satisfying and rewarding as a whole. And to be fair, I do believe that we should pin some of the blame on the marketing team as well, as they did sell us on an entirely different type of Doctor Strange and multiverse movie than what we ultimately got. And even Kevin Feige has spoken out against Disney and the marketing team as they basically stripped him of any control or agency of how he gets to present his films that he personally produces in these trailers. So that's all very interesting. So yeah, the marketing team also deserves some blame for all the perceived missed opportunities and the real ones as well. So yeah. But on a more positive note, the cinematography and the visuals were very trippy and inventive. Benedict Cumberbatch and Elizabeth Olsen are both electric on screen and give great performances. The VFX was pretty solid, excluding the Gargantos action scene and Strange's third eye, and the action scenes were just solid as well, but not incredibly groundbreaking. This is definitely one of Sam Raimi's campier films in the vein of Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, in the best and worst ways possible. For example, the Doctor Strange magical music note fight sequence came out of nowhere and completely took me out of the film, and while this film definitely is scary at times, I actually screamed at one of the jump scares. Since it's still PG-13, it kind of felt like a watered down horror film. This film is 90% Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch, and that's when the film is at its best. But I feel this movie highlighted a pretty major character flaw with all the Doctor Stranges we see throughout the multiverse in this movie, and that's his extreme emotional detachment, which affects his heroics, his personal relationships with Christine, and this could have also, in my opinion, been contrasted with Wanda, who as a character suffers from extreme emotional attachment if it was developed properly. There is actually very little difference between Wanda and Strange in this film when you think about it, as they are both incredibly arrogant to do whatever it takes to get what they want and to do what they think is right with the power they both wield. Seeing Zombie Strange was a delight, and I love the logic and the mechanics behind dream walking, which is when you basically co-opt another version of yourself through their dreams without their consent most of the time. And the fact that it's basically confirmed that Strange and Christine don't work out as a couple in any universe is a very touching sentiment, especially after that What If episode. But it just wasn't written well enough in the film, in my opinion. And all the cameos in the entire Illuminati sequence was, while not terrible, just surprisingly short, underwhelming, and seemed like it took up valuable space in the film. Like these seemingly big moments like John Krasinski as Reed Richards, Sir Patrick Stewart returning as Professor X, and Haley Atwell as a live-action Captain Carter from the What If show just didn't turn out as good as I'd hoped, and kind of made me realize that from the first watch that John Krasinski was a little miscasted as Mr. Fantastic. They even managed to make Professor X's classic yellow hover chair not look cool in live action, which was very odd. It was just crazy and weird all around. As a new hero in the MCU, America Chavez is also nothing like her character in the comics personality-wise compared to the movie. Outside of her powers, which were very visually interesting in the movie, and I liked the mechanics of her powers, the star-shaped portals into other universes, it looked visually astounding. The visual effects were just amazing when it came to visualizing her powers. But speaking of her power set, America Chavez is treated more like a plot device due to her powers in the film, and not like an actual character. It also doesn't help that the film more or less erased and diluted a lot of America's ethnic background, as she, as well as her moms, are Afro-Latina and dark-skinned women in the comics, and this movie basically whitewashes them all. This film also just doesn't offer good representation all around, as America Chavez is one of Marvel's most prominent and famous lesbian characters in the comics, but you never know it watching the film, especially since Marvel made the idea to heavily age the character down for the MCU. This movie also just completely disregards Wanda's emotional journey from WandaVision, as well as Vision and the twins' lost bond as a family, which drives her goals and intentions, so they can just sloppily shoehorn in Wanda being a vicious, hysterical villain. The movie basically redoes her entire emotional arc from WandaVision, where she is finally punished by having her basically kill herself by the Darkhold that acts as a poorly written plot device that makes her go insane, as well as other Doctor Strange variants who use the Darkhold as well in this film. And we don't even get to spend time with her personally from her perspective, as well as to understand her mindset throughout the film, which strips her of agency. This film, with this and America Chavez being written, just did not pass the Bechdel test at all. It also doesn't help that Wanda is of Romani Jewish descent in the comics and is subsequently whitewashed as she is played by a white actress in the MCU instead, which strips her of any complexity and makes her wicked actions in both this film and even back in WandaVision have pretty racist subtext and implications when you think about who she's been inflicting these heinous acts upon.
You're not my neighbor. And you're definitely not my friend. You are a stranger and an outsider. And right now you are trespassing here. And I want you to leave.
I've kept you safe in here. You feel at peace.
We feel your pain. Your grief is poisoning us.
No, stop.
Please, let us go. I want to go home. Please.
12 seconds later.
They'll never know what you sacrificed for them.
Yeah, these people, they just got brainwashed for months, and I guess that's okay.
The fact that the film also missed a perfect opportunity to use Wanda to bring in mutants as a reverse reference to her comic book history, and or fully bring in Tommy and Billy back into the main MCU and age them up for the Young Avengers, more or less just made her entire character assassination feel pointless. It was all just very frustrating how they handled Wanda in Doctor Strange 2. As a film in general, Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness has great visuals, is stylistically different, which I love that the MCU is going for, and has great ideas being put out there, has some very brutal and scary action sequences, and amazing character performances. But it's ultimately held back by sloppy and lazy writing and character work, and it ultimately just gets in its own way, which was needlessly frustrating, and it actually pains me to say this about a film that I'd been heavily anticipated for. Yeah, that's how I describe it. Very disappointing. So there you have it. That is my spoiler review of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. What did you think? What did you think of this video? What did you think of my review? What did you think of the movie itself? And what do you think about Wanda and America Chavez as characters, at least in the MCU, at least? Share all your thoughts down below. And again, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And again, follow my Instagram so you never miss the latest updates on when videos of mine are coming out. And again, to also just like and admire some fan art of mine that I regularly post on there. Alright, bye everyone.